Hepinize tekrardan merhabalar arkadaşlar. Vampir'in yeni bölümüne hoş geldiniz. Bir önceki bölüme kartlardan ulaşabilirsiniz. Şimdi en son şu dayıyla konuşmuştuk. Şu adamla alakalı bir ipucu öğrenmiştik. Şimdi gidip şununla konuş... O ne lan? Ne yapıyor orada? Herkes bir manyak burada ya.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reid, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember
Biz
asking for your
bandutçu olma.
service, sir.
Sen benden kısasın yalnız dayı ama sen bilirsin.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine, and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Anladım. Bak şu ipucu. Bunu soracağım da dur önce öbürlerini sorayım.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does
tehlikeli yer
have
ya
quite a
ondan.
reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
Oğlum götünü keserim bak ha. Benim canım sıkmamına gelmiş atar yapıyor bir de.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well too.
A job?
Nasıl lan iş?
So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
Allah Allah. Reddedebilirdin oğlum, başka iş mi yok?
Most people don't become thugs when unemployed. This is a choice you made.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
Bu bahsettiği adam da öbür adam ha. Şu az önce konuştuğumuz var. Az önce değil daha doğrusu. Geçen bölüm. Bak onunla alakalı da ipucu bulduk. Tamam, bunları sordum. Kişisel sorular. İpucu bulduyduk hani, ne oldu? Dur bakayım.
How did you? There's no a job.
I got
Buraya bir
enlisted.
geçeceğim
I
hızlıca.
don't care.
I'm not sure.
Oh, do you?
Tamam, geri döndük.
May I ask?
I do what?
According
Not from
this part of
totally.
İpucu ne ipucu
Have you
bulduk
heard
o
of
zaman?
Could you please?
She's a night.
Farklı bir şey soramıyoruz.
Goodbye, Mr. Peters.
Tamam, sal beni bakayım bir. Öbür adama gideyim. Onunla alakalı ipucu bulduk. Dayı. Gel bakalım.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you?
Aha.
Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I've known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me
Adamla
about
ilgili
Mr.
bilgi öğrenek de.
Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
Karı söyleyince şey olmuş.
It's never easy to find a new path in life, especially after the loss of a loved one. But crime is certainly not the best option.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against the Wet Boot Boy.
Islak papuçlu olan liderleri galiba. Çetenin. Sana başka farklı bir şey soramıyoruz değil mi? Evet.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
Tamam, sal beni. Şimdi Richard ve bilmem ne bir şeyle konuşacağız. Onu bilmiyoruz. Arkadakini bilmiyoruz. Şimdi şurada bir abla var, onu bilmiyoruz. Bu Lewis, tamam. Az önceki de Joe Peterson'dı. Herkesle tanışak gelmişken ya. Abi bir şey diyeceğim. Dayı hasta mısın? Sağlıklı. Onu bilmiyoruz. Joe nereye kayboldu lan? Az önce buradaydı adam. Joe Peterson. Bölgenin durumu ciddi ya. Hasta olanlar varsa yanımda her tedaviden birer tane var. Vereyim ilacı. İyileşsinler. Dayı merhaba.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby.
Ha, aradığımız adam biri bu.
I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reid.
Dr. Reid, the famous surgeon.
Oo,
I'll
bu biliyor
gladly
bizi.
help if I'm able, sir.
Aha bak, bu bilgi de biliyor. Direkt konuya mı girsek? Dur önce bir kendi hakkında sorular sorayım. Ey maşallah. Bir sürü de bir şey sorabiliyoruz ha. Bu gazeteci olan adam lan şu.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
It's a disgrace. People are left to die alone. No one is properly informed of the risks.
Dayı sen gazeteci değil misin ya?
Times indeed. So much for the glorious British Empire.
Anladım. Şunu soralım.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
Yani basit bir salgın değil deyip adamı korkutmaya gerek yok.
That science is unable to explain the facts doesn't mean there is no rational explanation.
I confess, I share your point of view, Doctor.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
Allah Allah.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
Bununla ilgili ipucu var.
It's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Kişisel sorularda bir şey açıldı mı lan? Yok. Şunu soralım.
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
Gizli dersek olmaz. Adama şimdi hem soru soruyoruz hem şey yapmıyoruz. Halkın sağlığı da pek inandırıcı gelmedi. Hastalık riski taşıyor diyeyim.
I'm afraid one of the nurses from the Pembroke Hospital may be involved with unsavory activities.
Ah, could it be Dorothy Crane?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice?
Niye çan çalıyor lan arkada?
Darius.
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious. Never goes out. Doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
Hiç dışarı çıkmıyor mu?
He never goes out.
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Ha.
He has no relatives at all? No. Except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel. talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
Kilisenin arkası. Tamam dayı, eyvallah. İyi, ben gidiyorum o zaman. Soru yok değil mi lan? Yok.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby.
Hadi Allah'a emanet.
Farewell.
Şu arkada rahip gibi bir dayı var. Kendi kendine konuşan bu mu acaba lan? Bununla da bir konuşalım. Dayı?
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias
Pedermiş bu.
is always happy to teach mortals.
Dayı boynunda haç var, bana tutma vallahi bak.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reid, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
De oğlumlu konuşuyor ya. Bunu da soralım.
Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital. I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that nurse Crane you mentioned.
Niye lan? Sen bir de pedersin ha.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country.
Ha.
That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
Bak, ipucu öğreniyoruz.
So you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Anladım. Sen kendi kendine bir şeyler yaşıyorsun. Kişisel bir şey var mı? Aha.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted.
Allah Allah.
I
Kimsin
sent him to
çömezin?
preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Nereye gönderdin lan çocuğu?
Where did you send?
Oğlum vurulan çocuk
I sent
olmasın.
Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows.
Mezarlığa
night
göndermiş.
after night.
Yeni soruşturma. Kutsal savaş. Dur.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Dayı yazık kafana ya. Vurulan çocuk değil o zaman. Hani ilk buraya geldiğimizde adam birini vurmuştu ya. O mu diye düşündüm de bir an.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Anlat bakayım lan, ne
Well,
anlatıyorsun?
I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Skallardan mı bahsediyor? Planın ne?
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Nasıl temizleyeceksin lan?
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Bilim kardeşim, bilim.
Science and progress are our only hope against the monstrosity hidden behind this epidemic.
See, Doctor? Now you acknowledge the presence of evil within the city's walls. Now you start to admit the truth.
Ne oluyor lan? Aha. İpucu başarısız mı? Deme be. Oğlum o kadar ilerledik. Dur bir daha deneyeyim. Oluyor mu bir daha?
Science?
See, Doctor?
Tüh. Yanlış cevap verdik. Neyse. Kişisel soru var mı?
I have had enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Tamam beni sal dayı. Şimdi çocuk kapıyı niye tık tıklıyor? Peder dışarıda geziyor. Peder kapıyı aç da çocuk girsin ya içeri. Vallahi deli bunlar ya. Bu da sağlıklı. Bu yorgun. Dayı sana yorgunluk tedavisi vereyim ben. Dur.
Good evening, Doctor.
Buna ilaç verebiliyor muyuz acaba ya? Tıbbi muayene F ayrıntılar. Bastım F'ye. Tamam yorgunluk var. Vereyim. Nasıl veriyoruz? Tamam yorgunluk tedavisi vereceğim adama. Nasıl vereceğiz bunu? Tıbbi
Do you
muayene.
need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor. Who knows what I may have caught during my investigation.
İlacı ver.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
Tamam. Verelim de buranın durumu sıkıntılı çünkü.
Farewell.
Bunlar iyileşsin. Bu insanlar iyileştikçe şey oluyor. Şimdi arkaya gideceğiz. Şurada bir abla daha vardı. O duruyor mu hala orada? Şu yanda bir abla daha duruyordu. Aha. Abla merhaba. Bir oyunu durdurup. Bir dakika. Tüh lan çıkamıyorum. Bir öksürecektim ya. Boğazım gene bir şey oldu. Ya da dur bir su içeyim. Suyla pek geçecek gibi değil de. Abla merhaba.
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling, but I'd like to ask you a few questions if I may. I'm a doctor, Dr. Reid.
All right then, but be quick. Though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Abla sen şey olanla. Ha, sen şeysin. Şunu bir sorayım da.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crasionescu.
Bu abla Rus
From
galiba.
Romania, like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Abla kulağındakiler küpe mi saç mı? Değişik gözüküyor da. Kişisel soru sorabiliyor muyuz? Aha.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Evet daha fazlası için ipucu lazım. Aha.
Clayton Darby claims he will expose the crisis in Whitechapel to all of London. Do you believe?
Peder yani.
I believe Clayton's courage will erode with time, until he finally leaves Whitechapel to start another fight somewhere else.
Why this skepticism?
How can you speak about starvation if you've never been hungry? Or about poverty? Or anything else you have never suffered from?
Are you talking from experience?
I've seen your type come here to get a good fuck in a cheap room or a dark alley before going back to their fancy houses in the West End.
Peki abla.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed, or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Allah Allah.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to
Belki de
happen,
var.
it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And
Herkese
you think that
yayılır
would
abla.
worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Neyse tamam. Kişisel soru var mı? Yok. Tıbbi muayeneden ne bu? Yorgunluk tedavisi. Vereyim buna da. Allah.
Do you need any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on the price of your medicine.
Bedava bedava al.
I am shocked that you would think I am that sort of man.
Forgive my suspicion. I'm so used to liars with good manners. Thank you, sir.
Eyvallah. Tamam 2 kişiye verdik bak. Buranın durumu belki biraz
Take
düzelir.
care of yourself as best you can.
Tabi oyunda hani XP için uyuyoruz ya. O zaman düzeliyor bu. Yani o zaman değişiyor. 20 küsür metrede. Bu kim? Posta kutusunu mu bulayım? Ha yan görev mi? Bu ne lan? Çiçek buketi. Ne yazıyor? İçerisinde ücretsiz tıbbi tedavi için bulunan bir kupon yerleştirilmiş ufak çiçek buketi. Ha bak abla. Amelia. Bu ne? Aha attığı çöp burada bak. Şeyi de buldum. Benim biricik sevgili çocuklarım diyor lan. Aa hani ailesi yoktu varmış. Adamla alakalı bilgi öğrendik. Vallahi bilgi öğrendik. Dur şu ablayla bir konuşayım bakayım. Bu çiçekçi dilsiz olan ablam bu. Aynen bu herhalde. Bak burada da aynı şey var. Ha, bu çiçekçi mi acaba şeye yardım ediyor? Onun aracılığıyla mı şey yapıyor?
Good evening, miss.
De bu dilsiz bununla nasıl konuşacağız?
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Dilsiz kadın yani.
A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly.
Aha.
Melia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary.
Nasıl bahsedecek? Biz de soru soruyoruz da.
A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever. I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it?
Kadın hiçbir şey de yok ki. Mimik bir şey de yok ki kadınla alakalı. Başka soru da soramıyoruz.
Goodbye then.
Neyse tamam. Lan kağıt kalem verseydik yazamıyor mu? Dilsiz yazmayı biliyordur herhalde. Şimdi 48 metre şeyin arkasında bir eleman vardı. Onunla da şey yapacağız. Konuşacağız. Senin bir rahatsızlığın var mı abla? Bu sağlıklı tamam. Yani ilaç verelim millete de. Buradan mı giriyoruz lan? Burası kilitli gibi.
It's locked.
Ne yapıyor orada? Oraya nereden dolanacağız ki? Şuradan geçsek dolanır mıyız? Oğlum direkt adam çıktı karşıma. 14 level mi? Ey maşallah. Burası daha tehlikeli. Orayı boş ver. Başka taraftan dolanabiliyor muyuz? Bir bakayım da. Kilisenin arkasındaysa... Dur burası kilisenin yanı. Önünden arkasına dolanıyor mu? Bir bakayım. Buradan bir yere gidilmiyor. Buradan. Buradan da gidilmiyor. Bir de öbür tarafına dolanalım. Bu taraftan gidemem lan 14 seviye beni orada parçalarlar ha.
I'm cheap and I'm clean, I promise.
Bak ya bir de laf şey abi. Sana ben şey verdim değil mi? Aynen tedaviyi verdik buna.
Pay me a glass and
Şu dayının bir rahatsızlığı var mı? Yok bu da sağlıklı. Reis sen. Buna da verdik. Aha buradan gidiliyor mu? Aha burası açık. Evet abi buradan gidebiliriz. De burası şu an kilisenin arkasına mı gidiyor emin de ne lan o? 10 level. 10 level döveriz ya. Deli deli ediyor kendini. Kalk lan. Etrafıma çok toplandılar. Yat aşağı yat. Şu özellik çok iyi ya. Allah. Alan vuruyor ya. Baya güzelmiş. Yat aşağı. Öbürü de öldü mü? Bak öbürüne hiç vurmadım bile ha. Şu skill'den dolayı öldü. Bunu burada yemişler. Oğlum bu adam nerede lan bu? Burada kimse yok. Adam bölgede bul diyor da adam burada zaten gördük orada. Dayı?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir. Richard Nethercott, at your service.
Sanatçıyım derken dayı tam olarak nasıl bir sanatçı yani? Direkt soruyu sorayım da.
May I ask you a few questions about the district?
Extraordinary part of town, is it not? I'll be glad to help you if I can.
What can you tell me about an old man called Darius?
Darius Petrescu? Yes, I know him. At first I thought he was only a small publisher. I invited him to publish my work, but his reaction was pretty clear.
Not interested in your talent?
Darius is an old political activist who takes delight in printing tracts and lampoons. Those communist activities only require mediocre writing skills.
Oğlum adamla ilgili bayağı bilgi öğrendik ha.
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane, a nurse who lives in this vicinity.
Dorothy Crane. Oh, I love the name. The Crane of Whitechapel. Sounds very mysterious. But sorry, no, never.
Dayı sen tam olarak meslek ne ya? Sen bir... Rahatsızlığın ne senin? Soğuk algınlığı. Aha buna da ilacım var. Buna da vereceğim. Dur. Azıcık bir soru sorayım da. Oo. Güzel bilgi biliyoruz bak.
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott, why seek inspiration in Whitechapel?
The place is not beautiful per se, but how to explain it? Stirring and challenging.
Örnek?
In what way exactly?
The struggle by gaslight, the barren smiles and the added hunger under the rain.
If you say so.
Such vibrant antagonism and vivid paradox, the stripped humanity raged across each street.
Vivid, of course, yes. And what about the poignant distress?
Oh yes, the poignant distress. You see what I mean, don't you? That's what I want to write about, and that's what
Bu yazar
Whitechapel is made
galiba.
of.
Tamam.
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir, Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much, and that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
And have you ever tried to learn more about her? Where she lives, how she survives, whom she may know?
Maybe I prefer she remains an enigma. Reality can be so dull, don't you think?
Peki.
Perhaps you're just afraid to find out the truth about your muse.
One day, perhaps, I'll ask her to come with me. But will she still be my wild flower of Whitechapel if she moves uptown?
Tamam bir soru şeyim daha vardı dur. Şunu da bir sorayım.
Did you know the mute florist is a member of a secret society?
No, I didn't. But I thank you for this information, sir. For it only enriches the mystery surrounding the precious Camellia.
Are you not curious? Is there not more you wish to know?
That girl has not an ounce of malice in her. Whatever she may be hiding, it's certain to be for the benefit of most, if not all.
Peki. Diğer soruyu sormayacağım. Gece burada ne yapıyorsun?
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk.
Burada mı yürüyorsun dayı?
Are always preferable if you ask me, especially with strangers.
But are you not afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in this city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
Dayı senin kafa bir gitmiş ya.
My mother loved poetry. Perhaps your words would have touched her sensitive nature. I see a dreadful disease.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Are you aware that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I
Soruları
must be
bilerek
to
soruyorum bu
feel the
arada.
real beat of the
Bir
city.
bilgi öğreniriz
I
diye.
had to come, see it for myself, alone.
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you for a start, my dear Doctor.
Neyse dayı ben sana şuradan ilacını da vereyim de.
Medical attention, sir.
It may be wise to let you prescribe me something. I don't feel like I should.
Al.
I understand your appetite for words and macabre beauty, sir. But you should be more careful.
The nutrition of my mind is more important than my physical health. But I appreciate your concern, sir.
Peki ben gidiyorum.
I'll leave you alone, sir.
Benim sal
a
artık.
bit less of a mystery now.
Tamam.
It should not be that difficult to incite him to.
Şurada kapı kilitliydi. Bekle onu bir açalım. Ne lan bu? Yayıncı red mektubu mu? Aa adam şey yapmış. Reddedilmiş. Neyse dayı olur öyle şeyler ya. O kim? Kamelya ha. Şu kapıyı bir açsana. Şimdi kilidi bir açılsın. Başka kapı var mı burada? Başka kapı yok, tamam. Kamelya sağlıklıydı zaten. Tamam 3 kişiye tedavi verdim ya. Buranın durumu düzelir diye tahmin ediyorum. Ne yapacağız şimdi? Heh. Adamın evine girmenin yolunu bulacağız. Şu kadın onu da biliyoruz, tamam. Onun evine girmenin yolunu buluruz. Adamla konuşalım. Bayağı bir bilgi öğrendik onunla alakalı. Burası mı? Burası neresi lan? Burası değil. Ama buraya da gelebiliyoruz. 47 metre bizim gideceğimiz yer. Dur. Buraya bir gidelim de. Heh, gireceğimiz yer burası.
Mr. Petrescu, just 1 minute, please.
You again. Go away.
Tayyip bir bekle. Cezbetme seviyesi 2 gerekli diyor. Tüh lan bizimki 1 mi?
Sir, wait. Stop this nonsense. I know Nurse Crane is here. Shall we speak man to man, you and I?
All right. Speak up.
Don't you see we're on the same side? We fight to help the poor, sick, and abandoned.
I'm nothing like you, Mr. Doctor.
Yes, you are. You too believe in providing medical care without charge. You know what we have to sacrifice to make the world a better place.
I have to admit your words have conviction.
Aha, izin verdi lan.
Let you see, Dorothea. Don't make me regret this, though.
Tamam dayı, sen bir izin ver bakalım da. Aa, evin içine mi girdik? Dayı, senin bir rahatsızlığın var mı? Bronşit mi? Dur lan, tedavisi varsa vereyim şu adama ya. Dayı.
If you want to talk to Dorothea, you must go across the courtyard and take the stairs.
We've not been
Tamam,
formally
eyvallah.
introduced. May I ask your name and occupation, sir?
I am Darius Petrescu. I'm here to keep snitches and spies away from Dorothea. And I also run this little print shop.
Matbaan mı var? Kişisel sorularda o güzel. Her şeyi biliyorsun.
Do you have any family left, Mr. Petrescu? Children or grandchildren?
Who knows? I have abandoned my people for so long, they might as well be dead. As dead as I am for them, I suppose.
This war won't last forever. Did you ever think of returning to your country now it's free?
No. I have taught strength and determination to my sons and daughters. I'm an old, dying man who only has memories of better times to cherish.
Peki dayı.
Don't be embarrassed, sir. If you must know, my own father disappeared many years ago, and I forgave him.
It's quite awkward to talk about our families like this, but thank you, Dr. Reid. I appreciate your trust.
Rica ederim dayı, ne demek. Şimdi sana soru soracağız.
I know you fought for your country when it was occupied, Darius. Tell me more about it.
I know my days are numbered, and I know I won't see my homeland again. But I fought for Romania all my life, and I will until my last breath.
But Romania escaped the grasp of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's a free country again.
But it's not the country I fought for. My homeland is not appeased, Doctor. But I still see a dark future ahead for my people.
Hemşireyle nasıl
How did
tanıştın?
you meet Nurse Crane, Darius? Why does she trust you?
I'm her oldest friend in England. Dorothea and I share many ideas about this country and about the country we left.
You mean occupied Romania, don't you? Even if not directly, I fought against your enemies.
Really? Then perhaps you have more in common with Dorothea than meets the eye, Dr. Reid.
Peki. Burada da çok soru var. Soralım.
Tell me everything you know about Camellia, the mute florist.
I do not believe in the afterlife, Doctor, but I'm almost convinced Camellia is an angel. She volunteered to give out our medical leaflets.
Ha.
Are you not worried for her safety?
She is as brave as she is tough, and clever too. If only I had met her when I was younger.
Are you in love with Camellia, Mr. Petrescu?
Don't be stupid. If I had met her when I was younger, we could have won our revolution.
Who is she, really? Do you know where she's from?
She's not from around here, that's all we know. Camellia is not even her name. It's her favorite flower.
You say she has no close family.
Well, there's that awful poet who constantly follows her around like a lost puppy. A good man,
Tamam,
for
şairle
sure,
konuştuk.
but a very poor writer.
Peki. Bir de bunu soralım.
Did you refuse to publish Richard Nethercott's previous works, Darius?
Yes, his manuscript is as pompous as he is starched. Now there's a man who loves the sound of his
Bunun
own
matbaası
voice.
var ya,
You
buraya
could have
diriltmiş.
told him so.
As a great writer recently said, politeness is the most acceptable hypocrisy.
Ha. Dur lan şurada.
Tell me,
I do not...
Daha ne sorabiliyoruz ki oğlum? Bir şey soramıyorum. Bu şey olmadı ama rengi gitmedi bunun.
So Dorothy's real name is not Crane.
Like myself and many people in this area, Dorothea is from occupied Romania. That's all you need to know.
She seems important to the community.
More than you can imagine. The West End does not want to hear of Whitechapel's misery. Dorothea is one of the few doing something about it.
Peki dayı. Senin rahatsızlığın var değil mi? Aa, bronşit tedavisi yokmuş lan bende. Deme be. Tüh. Dayıya vereydik iyiydi. Neyse aklımda bulunsun. Bir bronşit tedavisi yaparız buna. Eyvallah dayı. Senin evi ben bir inceleyebiliyor muyum? Dayı 5 yılını tızladım. Helal et. Bak aldım buradan. Oo. Dayı şöyle bir şurayı bir lootlayalım ya. Burası zaten girdiğimiz yer eve. Oradan gidersek çıkarız. Dur lan evi bir gezelim ya. Belki farklı bir bilgi buluruz diyecektim. Aha. Antik bilmem ne figürü mü? Neyse salla bunu. Bir saat okuyamayacağım. Üşendim. Dorothy Crane'i bul. Buluruz oğlum dur.
It's locked, all right.
Bu kilitli. Bunun anahtarı kesin dayıdadır ha. Şu ne lan? Şurada bir şey alınıyormuş gibi. Yok alınmıyor. Buradan çıkıl... Aynen. Üst katı yok zaten. Whitechapel'ın durumu ciddi. Şu kapıdan geçeceğiz. Ama bu bölümümüzün burada sonuna geldim. İzlediğiniz için teşekkürler. Like atıp abone olmayı unutmayın. Kendinize iyi bakın. Hoşça kalın.